Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from the Korman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast. My co-host Stacie here to talk about The Institute, Season 1, Episode 5, titled Back Half. The episode's description reads as follows. Sigsbee tricks Luke into confirming he's TP, forcing him to move up his escape attempt. Tim's suspicion puts him on the Institute's radar. The episode has a teleplay by Eric Dickerson, and the episode was directed by Jeff Renfro. This is another person who also worked as a director on From. He did 2 episodes there, and he's, of course, going to direct the very next episode because we are doing blocks. And this is based on a book by Stephen King. Before we go any further, I'll tell you a couple things. One, this is the Ask for Freak podcast. If you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go check it out, and then give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening to the platforms of this podcast, that'll be the one. Please follow. And feel free to check out our YouTube channel, Korman Productions, where additional content can be discovered. If you're already on our YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to the channel. All right, shout-outs this week. You have one, and I have one.
Yes, we have shout-outs for this series. How cool is that?
That is cool.
And you mentioned From. This is a very From-heavy episode. We have a lot of From to talk about with the people involved in today's episode.
Absolutely. And, I kind of really wish they had named that show something else.
Yeah.
Because, it really is awkward to say, oh, Jeff Renfro from. Anyway.
I mean, our listeners know what we're talking about.
Yes.
I think, at this point.
Latrice knows who we're talking about, so there's that. Speaking of Latrice, she has another super long comment. All right, so she says, thanks for the compliment that she should start her own podcast. She'd much rather listen to ours, though. And she says, I'm happy to be one of your regular commenters on this show as well. Also, super long comment incoming. Thanks for the warning. Okay, so she says, wild theory. I initially thought that Nicky was a mole planted by the Institute among the kids. He immediately hones in on Luke and starts trying to figure out his plan for breaking out. And all the main kids, except Avery, we always get snippets of them suffering after some tests, but I don't recall seeing any of that with Nicky, or hearing how he's progressing with the front half test. I think it was actually implied at one point that he was supposed to be going to back half soon, but they actually said the same thing about George.
They said that about everybody.
And
why is anybody still in front half at this point?
I don't know, especially George, because it seemed like George was supposed to go a long time ago.
Episode 1, it might have been 2. They were like, oh, he's going soon. He just finished his last test.
And he's still hanging around. I don't understand why he's here. In fact,
maybe he's the mole.
Yeah, maybe, perhaps.
Because we aren't really involving him a lot. I mean, that's because he's in Under 5 and he's just in end credits. But, maybe.
Right. So, she also says, I'm shocked that Tim, who seems very intuitive when interpreting Annie's words about the plane crash, did not immediately understand the connection between his talk with the reporter, Kate, about Annie's theory and her later suspicious death. Yeah, it's pretty I mean, maybe he does somewhat suspect her. We don't see any evidence that he doesn't suspect her. But yeah, it seems like his character would definitely pick up on that connection. And so far, it doesn't seem like he has. But we'll see. I think the new boy kid and the surviving twin are still undergoing testing in the Institute. Well, we actually find out what happened to Gerda in this episode. But just isolated from everyone else, perhaps in a place connected to the old playground area that's overgrown and appears unused. Maybe that's where kids go to be isolated from the other kids in the front half, and that doesn't happen very often. Yeah, so Gerda is accounted for. Harry very much is not.
Harry very much is not. I got the insinuation they did him in.
Yeah, that would not surprise me.
Because they were like, oh, the survivor from last night.
Right.
I mean, they could have just been talking about the twins.
Right.
But it left room to think Harry's no longer here.
Right. I'm actually kind of curious why they didn't just do the Gerda treatment and hook him up to the same machine that they ended up...
Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, anyway. And how did Tony not realize that Luke knew something bad was going to happen to one of the twins before it did, and not see that as signs of precognition because he knows that what the doctor is testing for? Or does that mean Tony doesn't know what the doctor is doing? He's maybe just a helper and not in on the conspiracy. I think he's at least partially in on things. He knows that something is up.
He knows they're doing something shady, right? Because he knows they're waiting for Sigs to be gone. I don't know if he cares what anybody's doing.
Right.
I'm sure he's just like, pay me whatever you're paying me, and I'm not here to think.
Yeah. And he's also kind of a jackass. Not kind of, he is one. All right, so however I think the police chief is in on the conspiracy with the Institute, He probably ratted out his previous Night Walker to them and got the man killed after he was getting close to the truth. He's discouraging Tim is because he knows the man is right and is possibly in a twisted way trying to keep Tim from ending up dead like Annie and the former Night Walker. Maybe. I mean, you think...
I think episode 5 debunks that. I was suspicious of the police. I no longer am after episode 5.
Okay. All right.
And we'll talk about that when we get there.
All right. Also, how are there so many kids in back half? Yeah, I noticed this too.
Yeah, that was one of my comments in my thoughts on this episode 5 specifically. We're dealing with all these kids, and we see what happens with Iris in this episode, and that makes no sense.
Right. Yeah, if Iris was the first that we see go there... And it seems like maybe she's almost done with back half. That seems to be the indication here. How are all the other people who must have been there before her still hanging around? Yeah, that's a very good question.
It's a very good question.
Yeah. And I thought since we saw that smoke coming from the back half a few episodes ago that it was the Institute incinerating people, yep, that's pretty much confirmed. Finally, I'm starting to suspect the Institute is not completely lying when they say they will wipe the kids' memories at the end and let them leave. I think they very much are. I think this nail.
We'll see what she has to say after episode 5.
Right. This episode is pretty much the nail in the coffin as far as that's concerned. I think maybe some of these kids do get a kind of memory wipe and sent back into society if they survive the testing, but can't be molded into something useful. Probably after having their powers suppressed, if they can bring out amplified powers, it stands to reason that they can do the opposite. Maybe Annie was one of those kids that was wiped and let go, but can still access some of her power. Maybe this testing has been going on a long time, and the Institute left her alone all this time because it seemed like that memory wipe and suppression of her powers worked, and she was just a bit on the crazy side as a result, but harmless. But once the fake reporter heard from Tim what Annie picked up on and reported back to the Institute, they knew that wasn't the case, and she had to get gotten rid of. Lest her powers continue to regrow, remanifest, and find a way to interfere with their work. Maybe. Maybe the kids that fully graduate and don't die or wash out of the program get released into society as sleeper agents. And maybe those 4 kids that died in the river were from the Institute and had an accident with their powers or got triggered as sleeper agents when they weren't supposed to. I even suspect that Sigsbee is a former graduate of the Institute who maybe washed out and had her powers suppressed, but actually does feel like their work saves the world and wants to stay a part of things. The way she acts makes me kind of suspicious. She kind of acts like an institutionalized true believer who doesn't have regular adult functioning. She does these weird pain rituals, that we've noted plenty of times, that she was probably used from being a test subject. And when they showed us her making dinner, it seemed like someone with arrested development, making something I would suspect to see a little kid make. Plus, she seems certain that Wook is not making TP. It seems like the type of knowing that maybe comes from personal experience. Maybe her pain rituals keep her from triggering the powers she's no longer supposed to have, so that she can hide in plain sight. She knows what it looks like when someone is lying about what they can really do. And maybe that's how Sigsbee justifies herself, what she's doing to the kids. She's been through it too, and knows that there's a chance they could make it out on the other side, despite also knowing they could die in the process. Well, yeah, some interesting thoughts. That she might actually have some TP is an interesting thought. Some things actually support that, like some of her interactions with Luke. On the other hand, if she did, why would she not have known what Hendricks and Stackhouse were really up to? Or maybe that is how she knew what they were up to in some way. Because, how did she know to go directly to the file that showed Stackhouse and Hendricks talking to each other?
Right.
So, I mean, there's some things in there that might support that Miss Sigsbee might actually have some TP. Okay. It would also explain how she's so sure she can outsmart Luke. She's possibly using her own TP to read him, and she's been outsmarting the Institute for years and figures she can outsmart him too. Interesting stuff.
Yeah, the whole thing about sleeper agents, that was my initial thought when we were first told, oh, we're going to erase your memories and send you home. That's what I thought that meant is, you're not going to remember anything until we want you to.
Right, which would seem to make more sense to me than what they're actually doing.
Yeah. It doesn't make much sense with the fact they're using them now, though.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. So, and you have a shout out?
I do. We have more feedback from Mirko in the Facebook group. Again, that group is the Institute MGM Plus series fans. And here's what Mirko had to say this week. Interesting podcast. Thanks to YouTube's 0.75 playback speed, I can actually understand something. And thanks to the subtitles, too. I apologize for that because our subtitles are probably way off because we don't speak that clearly very often.
Right.
As far as episode 3, they had to say the episode flew by. When the credits rolled during the final scene. Oh, this is episode 4, not 3. We're on 5 now.
Yes.
This is episode 4. My brain's not there. Okay. The episode flew by. When the credits rolled during the final scene, I yelled, no, I wanted more. A truly great episode. Some questions finally get answered, but even more new ones pop up. I can't give away any spoilers for now. I don't know what that means. Another great Shining reference. I love those eggs exteriors. Do they mean Easter eggs? We're getting some lost in translation stuff here. Because remember, Mirko is not an English speaker.
Right.
The cast is really solid across the board. Joe Freeman keeps proving himself excellent episode after episode. We're all rooting for Luke Ellis, especially now that one of the big questions we've all been asking finally got answered. What is Stackhouse planning to do? As for Tony, I swear I'm about to track down the Institute, go in there, and knock him out. Totally unbearable. The character, obviously, not the actor. Go Team Tim. Greetings from Italy. Can't wait for the next episode.
And we are right there with you. Of course, we're covering that very next episode, but still. All right. Anything else to say before? Well, actually, I'm sorry. Right. After the shout-outs, we do. Stacie, your thoughts on this week's episode.
So I was prepared to make some joke about seeing the back half this episode, and it's the back half of the season. But they beat me to it by literally naming the episode back half. So they had that joke already. We're in episode 5, the back half of the season, called back half. We've moved into back half for a good portion of our episode, and it is darker, it is deeper, we are in it.
Yep.
We're no longer pretending this is about balloons and candles on a birthday cake. There's some pretty gritty stuff happening.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that we took that turn, and I am very eager to see where we go with the last few episodes. And what's going to happen with Luke, because he's like outside now, but I don't think he's just going to get out. There's still 3 episodes left.
No, my guess is that Tim is on his way to rescue Tim. Tim is on his way to rescue Luke, whether he realizes it or not.
Yeah, but more stuff has to happen.
Right.
Especially because we know the titles of the next 3 episodes.
Maybe there's like a boat outside and he has to like swim past it.
Well, he is going to the red steps now, so that's dangerous.
Yes, yeah. You can drown there, that's for sure. Yeah, we basically know after watching this episode exactly what the Institute is doing. We don't necessarily know the whys yet.
Yeah,
but we know
where's this list coming from?
Right.
How does any of this technology work that they're hooking up to?
I'm going to guess that we're not going to get any...
we're not going to get answers to that. But, like, there's more to this, right? Than just, we're harvesting powers for what we want to do.
Right, yeah. And I'm guessing we're going to figure that out sooner or later.
And I misspoke earlier when I'm seeing this now. Earlier I said, well, we're not getting a lot from George because he's just an under 5 in the end credits. That's not true. Arlen So is actually listed as a guest star, meaning he's allowed to have more than 5 lines.
He just
doesn't seem to very much.
Yeah, they've severely underutilized George, and my notes keep saying, why is George still here?
Yeah, why is he here yet not involved in anything they're doing? He's not part of the escape attempt.
Right.
Because I specifically bring him up, like, why is he not helping remove this thing from the ear? Why are we asking this little tiny child to do it?
Yes. All right. Anything else to say before diving in?
Let's get into the scene by scene.
All right. So the episode begins with Maureen wheeling Gerda, the non-dead twin, on a gurney. We cut to Alex in Luke's room. Avery in Luke's room, watching this by reading her mind. She wheels her into the recovery room where we see a bunch of teens in bed with oxygen masks and some really weird headsets over their eyes. I'm not sure what that's all about.
It basically looks like VR type goggle things,
right?
But more advanced.
So we see a woman credited as Joanne. I guess she's one of the people that tend to these kids. played by Trina Corkum. 28 credits for her, including Sharp Corners, Haben, and From. So we've talked about her before.
Yeah, she was townsperson number 2 and From episode 309. I think that's when we had the town gathering for the search party for Fatima.
Okay, yes. So she asked Maureen out to take out the trash, given that these people's attitudes towards these kids is very callous. I mean, you have to wonder how long she's been doing this for, and she's just kind of over it and institutionalized.
I mean, yeah, she works in recovery. That means she's here with just these catatonic kids all day, and then they die.
Yes.
And they incinerate them.
She also acts very weirdly, and I'm not sure what to attribute that to. Maybe it's just hanging around with the hum, the kids that are attached to the hum, I guess.
Right, because this is the room we're told the hum is coming from, and even the staff are sensing it. So, right, there's that.
So Maureen takes the body, which involves wheeling it into the room with a chamber where you shove bodies and burn them. And she's helped by the creator of From, one of them anyway, John Griffin. He's there to help her put the body in the furnace.
Yeah, so, John Griffin, the creator and executive producer of From, is playing a character named Denny. He is the guy that works the incinerator, which I found very weird. Important to point out, this is John Griffin's only acting credit. He's never even cameoed in his own shows.
Yes.
With, a speaking part at least.
Yep.
And I've never noticed him pop up anywhere. So, why is he here?
I don't know, because maybe he wants to...
was he just hanging out on set with, his friend Jack Bender, one of the other showrunners of From, and was just like, I want to burn the body. That looks cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably it, too. So, yeah, I was looking through the credits for this episode, and I noticed John Griffin in the credits, and I'm like, wait, is that the same John Griffin? And sure enough, I looked into it, and of course he is.
Yeah, now, okay, I want to point out that we were relying on IMDb for credits this week, because unlike previous weeks, our screener didn't have end credits.
Our screener this week was pretty rough.
There were a lot of screens that said temp.
Right.
So I'm excited to actually watch the final cut of this episode when it comes out.
Yes.
Because we did not see all the special effects that anybody listening to this right now has seen. We just got a lot of text overlays saying, here's what's going to be in this spot.
Right.
Which is not uncommon for screeners, but it's the first episode of this series that we've run into that with.
Yep.
So because we didn't have end credits, we're relying on IMDb, which is not always accurate, especially prior to air, right? I went, no, it's not that, John Griffin. Somebody at IMDb messed up. But then I'm watching the episode, and I'm like, oh yeah, that definitely is him. Like, I know what he looks like from interviews and things. You're right. Saying from is really awkward. So that's definitely him. And I was like, that's super cool. But it also made me a little sad. Like, why are you not making your first appearance in From?
I don't know.
Why are you doing it here? Is there some message to this? Is there some connection that we should be gleaming from this?
Not sure. Maybe they burn up the bodies and they end up in From.
Well, there'd be a lot of kids there then.
Yep.
But yeah, it was super cool to just see him do that, and I bet that was fun.
I'm sure it was
his very first acting credit.
And he looks so serious doing it. Anyway, Tim drives up and finds a badly worn no trespassing sign. I will get into what Tim is claiming this says when we get there.
I did see it this time.
I did.
The second time around. Now, I did not see it until later in the episode they tell us what we're supposed to be seeing.
Right. Avery and Luke make their way out to the playground and observe the smokestacks. And Avery says, we all go up in the chimney here. Luke says, no, he's not going to let that happen.
Right, because Avery just saw everything that Maureen just saw. So he now knows everything. He knows what's in recovery, what they're doing to the kids, and how the kids are leaving.
Yes.
There is no out.
Right, except for death.
So yeah, this is like this very somber moment for them when they're like, wow, we at least had a glimmer of hope before that maybe we were overreacting. Now there's no more room for that.
Yes.
Right? There's no more suspension of disbelief here. They know they're kind of fucked.
Miss Sigsbee has Luke sent in and gives him an expression in another language, which Luke knows as the truth will set you free. He asks if he's about to be set free, and Miss Sigsbee seems very amused by that. And she says that he is very smart, which is kind of a hindrance for him. It makes everything harder here. Sigsbee says she and Dr. Hendricks thinks he's TP, and he says, oh man, I wish, because that would mean I'd be going home soon, even though he knows that's not going to happen, and he's being very sarcastic here.
Yeah, and then she says, this isn't the place for lying.
Right.
I feel like she's acknowledging now that he knows the truth, and she's willing to tell him the truth.
Right.
She's no longer pretending, yeah, you're going to go home.
Right.
She's like, we all know you're not going home.
Yeah,
but suck it up, kid, because that's what's happening.
Right. So she has a computer and brings up the story that shows his parents are dead and Luke is in fact missing. So he ends up looking at the screen. He knows what's there. He can't resist. He ends up pulling the monitor towards him, confirming that he's TP. And then he begins to choke her out.
Yeah, let me talk about what's on the screen just a little bit. So like you said, it's an article. It says the parents are dead in a murder-suicide. Luke is missing, and he's a suspect in the deaths.
Right.
Which is a lot.
Yes.
Which also is kind of contradictory. If it was a murder-suicide, how's he a suspect? Murder-suicide means the person who suicided murdered the other person.
Right, yes.
And it says the article's from the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, but the web address doesn't say that. The web address is a whole bunch of gobbledygook numbers, and at the end of it is the word onion.
Interesting.
Which I found interesting because the Onion is fake news, right?
Yes. Yeah. It's parody news.
Right. I feel like I don't know if I trust this. I don't know if they're really dead. I almost feel like she made this story up just to incite Luke.
The reason I kind of think that this is true is because of what Michelle said.
We know Michelle said something went wrong.
Yeah.
But does that mean it went this wrong?
Right.
Does that mean that this is really public knowledge in the news that they're dead?
Right.
I don't know. Something about this felt off to me. And there were so many details on the screen. Like, this isn't 90s television where, you know, we can pause something and we can see, oh, they never thought anyone was going to actually read that. They know that we can pause and look at what this says. And there's other details on the screen that show they put production details into this. It says Denison River Bend with the weather and the dates and all of this. So why would they show us the web address without having the web address be something like MinneapolisStarTribune.com or whatever?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In From, which again is like a lot of the same people in the same network, when we were shown a newspaper article on a screen, you can pause and read the address.
Yes.
And that address goes to an actual website that we, the viewer, can go to and get other clues.
Well, it's also quite possible that this is not finished.
Well, that's true. There are unfinished effects, but this screen exists. I mean, it's possible they cut back so you can't read that because they didn't mean for you to read that part. Or maybe they didn't even catch it.
It's possible, or maybe they're going to replace that specific screen with something else.
The whole screen.
When
I mean, that's possible. That's possible. But from what I saw, it says onion on it, which felt weird. That felt like a weird detail to include.
Right. Yeah.
It was like 100 gobbledygook characters and then the word onion at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Also from this article, we got that the article is dated July 7th. It says the incident happened on a Sunday night. And it has 23 comments on the article, which I just found interesting because that's a lost number. Always got to point that out.
Oh, that's pretty cool. And so, yeah, he starts to get very violent on her. And, he starts to choke her. Before he even approaches her, she hits the alarm bell to get the guards in there because he knows he's about to get violent. Which, by the way, actually does lend some weight to Latrice's idea that she does have a little bit TP herself.
I mean, she knew what she was doing. This was her whole plan to provoke him.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. Maybe she didn't really count on how violent he was about to get.
Well, also remember, she likes pain. She's enjoying this.
She's enjoying this little kinkiness with a 14-year-old boy.
She ends up with a bloody lip, and she's happy about it, you know?
Yeah. She is a really weird character. I mean, she's played by Mary Louise Parker, so that's just guaranteed, but still. So he gets taken down. He's on the ground. she's about to tase him. I don't think he gets off on pain the same way that she does. But, and she calls this a teachable moment. And then Stackhouse comes in and tells him that they have a very serious problem.
Yeah, he stops her from tasing him. But the jelly beans got broken.
Yeah.
Her lips bloodied. She's having a great time. And yeah, Stackhouse says, we have a problem.
And that turns out to be Tim has come up to the facility and greeted the guards.
So we finally have some interaction between these two stories.
Yes. Sigsbee thinks he's just... Sigsbee thinks that they should just kill him and be done with it. Stackhouse isn't so sure that's the right approach because he thinks that he could be upstairs testing them.
Yeah, he's like, we don't know who this is. He could be FBI or a journalist or somebody who people are going to notice he's missing. Or, yeah, he could be from upstairs. He could be from within. And they're testing how we deal with it. And if we deal with this wrong, we're going to get killed.
Right.
So they're very paranoid and suspicious on all these different fronts going back and forth. But it's very clear Sigsbee wants to kill him.
Yeah.
She's very like, and then we can kill him. She's like this evil villain character all of a sudden.
Right.
Like the, mustache twirling, oh, I just want to kill. Which is funny.
Yes.
Also during this is when I get the inkling that I no longer think one of the cops is in on it. I used to think that. I used to think one of the three we couldn't trust. But during this, she was, just talking about Tim, and she's like, well, if he disappears, the police will just think he's a drifter they hired, and he decided to keep drifting.
Gotcha.
Which, if one of the cops was in on it, they wouldn't be talking about tricking the cops.
Right.
They would have somebody to help them cover it up.
That would make sense.
So I no longer think one of the cops is in on it.
Okay.
I trust them again.
Luke is despondent on the playground, and Tim gets sent on his merry way, by the way. So he gets away without being killed.
Yeah, he has this... It's the same two guards that we met in episode 1, the gate guards. And he doesn't get killed. That would have been an anticlimactic resolution to his story if they just killed him. But he leaves, and everybody, both sides know this isn't innocent, right? He's just like, oh yeah, I was just taking a hike and exploring my new town, and that everybody knows that's bullshit.
Yes.
But they're all playing along for now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all playing a longer game. When really they could have just killed him.
Yeah, they could have. So we get to Luke, who's despondent on the playground after having found out that his parents are dead. He's joined by George, who shouldn't be here anymore. That's my literal note. He should not be here anymore. Nick and Avery, they tell him not to give up, but he's basically at a point where he's just about to do that. As they talk, Miss Sigsbee goes over the loudspeaker and announces that they're saying goodbye, having a goodbye party for Nick. They should also have had a goodbye party for George.
Graduation. Right. So it's Nikki's graduation, all of a sudden.
Right.
And I'm like, why?
Also, we still haven't had a graduation party for George, who we were
still
told...
haven't had a graduation party for George. We just confirmed that Luke is TP, which was the only thing she was waiting for, so why aren't we sending him right now?
Right, exactly.
And we already know Avery came in already knowing everything.
Right.
So why are any of these kids still here?
Right.
Just close front half, send them all the back half, and move on.
Right. So as they talk, oh yeah, okay, I just said that. So
we also during that they're talking about the escape attempt, which Nikki has to basically talk Luke into because he's given up, right?
Right.
But they talk about the sciencey stuff they have to do to make the cameras not work, which has something to do with turning off the air conditioning. And Nikki says he has a plan.
Yes, he says that Luke should join the graduation party because he has something special planned. At the party, Miss Sigsbee doesn't give him long before saying it's time to go. I don't even think she lets him eat the cake, honestly. Nick tells her, why don't you just tell us the truth about this place, that they are never getting out of here alive? Sigsbee mocks him, saying, oh, more Nick conspiracy theories, but Nick tells him that they know about the smokestacks and the dead bodies. And he starts to go ballistic. This scene is hilarious. Because, Nick is running around. He throws a punch bowl at one of the guards and takes one of them out. It's just really funny. And basically, Sigsbee is like, wow, how many people does it take to take out one teenage boy? What are you guys doing? He's pretty unimpressed by her security at this point. So he yeah, so he gets one of the guards, and I think it actually is Tony who he does, to basically tase the locking mechanism.
Tony loves tasing.
Yes.
That would make sense if it was him. I had a hard time keeping track of who was who in the staff this week.
Right.
Because we added a few new people, plus we have all the people we've already met before, different guards and orderlies, and I was like, I don't know, one of the guards or orderlies is doing something.
Right, but I'm pretty sure it was Tony that Nick ends up getting to tase the locking mechanism on the door that Luke needs to get into to basically break it.
The air conditioning room.
The air conditioning room, okay. So, and then he basically gives Luke a smile, pretends to act like he's enraged even more still, and eventually he's dragged off.
He's dragged away, leaving the kids with just Maureen.
Right, and this 100% is play acting. We thought that perhaps this little show when Kalisha was going to back out was a big show. This definitely is. And there's a later scene with George and Avery that also is a big show.
Right.
So that kind of leads credence to perhaps you're right that
they were doing something.
Yeah, play acting. I don't think we're ever getting confirmation of that, but
yeah. But Avery was a little confused at first.
Yeah, he was like...
but he's not even that mad. Why is he pretending to be more mad than he is?
You would figure that Avery knowing that
right. Well, remember, Avery's young.
Yeah.
And also socially stunted.
Gotcha.
So even though he can read people's minds, he doesn't comprehend what anything means. Right?
Gotcha. Luke tells him that Nick did that for him and George and Shaw, and it seems like Luke has his groove back. He's got his confidence back, and he's all in on this plan.
Yes.
Luke indicates to Maureen that they should have a little conversation, and he tells her, he meets her in the corner, with the ice machine.
Which they spend so much time there. How do Sigsbee and everybody not aren't suspicious that she just cleans the frickin' ice machine 10 times a day?
Maybe they're in the corner making out. Who knows? Basically he says he's going to be going to back half soon. She says that, I thought your TP scores were inconclusive. And Luke says, nope, that's not the issue anymore. Luke tells her that they murdered his parents. She says, she's like, oh, how do you know they'll do that? And they do that shit. And then
she seems this is news to Maureen.
I don't think it is. I think she's just in heavy denial.
Well, later she'll even say to Sigsbee, I thought we don't do that.
Right. She says they will murder her if she helps him. She wants him to stop, but he keeps needling her, asking if it were Jake here, would she just let him die? And she, of course, leaves crying. And who should be observing this scene but Miss Sigsbee from the monitors?
Right. Now, she can only see the aftermath because, again, she can't see the ice machine. So she just sees them walking away and that Maureen is upset.
Right. Tim visits Wendy, having not gassed up her vehicle. She has taken records out of the station, which could get her into trouble. She points out that looking into this thing, Annie's murder and anything to do with the Red Steps, that's not Tim's job, but he's not the kind of guy who could look the other way. Tim brings up the teens at the Red Steps. He speculates that maybe the kids weren't there that night. That's just where the bodies were found. He drove up to the spot. The no trespassing sign had a bunch of missing letters that we saw, and it spells now, Notre Pan. She points out something that she wasn't sure she was going to show him, that 2 weeks after the kids died, the Institute broke new ground on a property fence line. Before that, in that area, they would have had a clear shot right to the Institute.
Right, if they went through the old fence, they'd have gotten in.
Yes.
So this definitely pretty clearly signifies that, they broke in and this caused the Institute to step up security.
And they, of course, murdered the teens. So,
well, they ended up dead one way or another, definitely after sneaking into the fence.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Maureen and Luke meet up, And now I guess she's all on board with helping him out.
Yeah, so again, this is where they're at the ice machine. This is where my note was like, they don't wonder why she's cleaning it again. She just cleaned it 5 minutes ago. Now she's back here cleaning it.
Well, we already know that she's really bad at her job, given how she cleaned up the puke.
She only cleans the ice machine. It's the most important part of this whole building, is to keep the ice clean.
Yes.
He says something weird here. He was like, if you still want to help me, we have to do it now. When did she say she was going to help him?
Nothing that she said previously indicated that she was going to help him.
Unless this is just something he's reading from her mind and we never heard.
Right. So basically the plan involves Maureen's key card. She's going to need that back. Otherwise, there's going to be a lockdown trigger. And she hands him a pair of scissors.
Yeah, and she tells him he has to be in the laundry room at 11:30, not a minute later. So he asks about the tracker on his ear. She gives him the scissors. Ooh. Even after watching one time, the second time, I still went, no, not scissors.
Yeah.
This is bad.
We were grimacing, right at the point where she was like, it was basically insinuated that he was going to have to cut that off his ear. Just hearing that made me grimace.
Yeah.
But yeah, actually watching it was brutal. But we'll get there.
Okay, and now Sigsbee's watching.
Yes.
And she can see the ice machine now.
Yes.
So, between the last scene and this scene, did she install a new camera?
Probably.
And did Maureen not see that happening?
Probably not.
Because we were told there was no view of the ice machine. And now suddenly there is.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. Stackhouse, meanwhile, shows up at Tim's hotel. I can't even begin to tell you how weird it was to see Stackhouse interacting with Tim at the hotel. It was just really weird. Like, because these stories have been so totally separate that just like seeing, because Stackhouse might as well be on a different series compared to like where Tim is.
Right.
And to see them interacting, it was just weird. But yeah.
So we got to see Norbert and his pet, whose name I don't know. We should know that pet's name.
Lucy or something? I don't know.
And you know what? I still think maybe Norbert's in on it.
I think
that's why Stackhouse is comfortable coming here, because Norbert's in on it.
I think that's a strong possibility. I mean, he's such a nothing character.
Yeah, somebody's got to be in on it, right? Besides Kate.
He's there constantly in almost every single episode. I think he missed one.
Right.
So I think there has to be something more to his character for sure.
So Stackhouse is like, is there somewhere we can go to talk?
Right.
And it's creepy.
Yes.
And you think he's just going to kill him now,
right.
Honestly.
Right. So Avery and George enact a plan where they pretend to fight over a remote, chasing each other around the room, creating a distraction so Luke can get into the now unlocked room and commit sabotage. Okay, but Miss Sigsbee is watching, and I'm sure like she can see more than just Luke and George and Avery running around the room.
Right.
And he gets into the room fine, okay, whatever. But then how does he get out of the room without getting noticed?
I mean, we don't get any indication that anybody noticed.
Right.
We don't get any indication that anybody noticed throughout the entire evening or cared that the air conditioner stopped working and it became 100 degrees in this building. They never at once go to check the air conditioner and see why it's not working, by the way.
No.
Because that's their whole plan. Their whole plan falls on the motion sensors won't work if it's too hot in here.
Gotcha.
Which I don't understand, but science?
Whatever.
But yeah, it seems really funny. I don't know. You've probably never heard of this. There's a video game that I used to love called Ghostmaster. Okay. Where you control ghosts. You place them in different scenarios. And you have to, they have like different abilities and powers. And you have to use the right ghosts and the right powers to influence the scene. And basically sometimes your job's just to scare the people, and other levels you have to like do specific things like turn off alarms and lock and unlock doors. And this very much reminds me of something from that game where it's like, oh, you have to like do something to affect the power or the air conditioning or something. Like there's very much things that that exist in that. But at some point the humans are gonna go check. Yes. They don't do that in this episode. No. Like, the place is smoldering. You can tell everybody's sweating and hot. And at one point, the guards even notice that the cameras aren't working because it's too hot. Why is nobody checking on the air conditioner?
I don't know, but that'd be the first thing that I would do. So we
They have a lot of really incompetent people working here,
Yes.
I guess, is what we can narrow this down to. They all suck at everything.
basically. It's a wonder that they haven't been, had these kids all escape by now at this point. So Stackhouse and Tim reveals the reason he was up by the Institute was because he was hiking and getting familiar with his new surroundings, which is the exact same line he gave to the guards. And he was also learning history and takes the opportunity to question him, Stackhouse, about the girls that drowned. And basically, he also brings up Annie and how she's dead. When Stackhouse is like, well, if your friend has any further questions or things, concerns that she wants alleviated, feel free to have her contact me. Oh, she's dead.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. Both sides know that the other one knows.
Right.
Like, Tim is not pretending that Stackhouse doesn't suspect that he's investigating
Right.
this.
No.
And Stackhouse makes it very clear he knows all about Tim.
Right.
He tells him all about his old job. He tells him about the mall incident. He's done his research at this point.
It's really funny that how unartful Stackhouse is in the scene and trying to basically draw Tim out and figure out who the heck he is.
Yeah, he's trying to figure
He basically
out.
just admits everything.
He's like, should I kill you?
Right.
Maybe I want to recruit you.
Right.
They're both playing a game, and it's interesting that they just get out of this without, like, anything coming of it.
Right. So, anyway, Maureen and Miss Sigsbee questions her about Luke and what he said to her. She thinks Maureen is getting too attached, and the protocol is basically to stay away from the kid when you start becoming attached. So basically, she's going to be spending time in back half for a while.
Yeah, she was like, stay away from Luke, stay away from front half, and you know what? Just go home.
Right.
But Maureen was like, but wait, it's a sparkler night. They need my help. And Sigsbee finally is like, well, fine. Finish your shift. Just stay away from Luke.
Right, because if she doesn't finish her shift, her entire plan with Luke is fucked.
And then Luke's going to be in the laundry room with nobody coming to get him, and that would be really bad for everybody.
Yes. Okay, so there's this scene that I still don't get, and I've watched it a bunch of times.
Okay.
Avery and Luke,
vending machine.
Yeah. Avery and Luke, they go to the vending machine. They get out some snacks. Avery tries to communicate something to Luke, with pointing at the snack. Luke seems to be blowing him off, and then Avery just pushes him and points to the snack again.
It's beef jerky.
And says, protein, you're gonna need it. I didn't know what this was about. I still don't.
Well, I don't know. I assumed it was just like, hey, if you're gonna be running and escaping, you're gonna need to eat protein.
Okay.
But yeah, I did feel like there was something else about it. Like,
right.
Maybe there's still some big part of this plan that we don't know yet.
Gotcha.
Maybe the dogs.
Dogs, okay.
Is it to feed to the dogs when he's trying to escape?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Because the dogs are out there around the fence, right?
Right. I mean, they got humans with them, but yeah.
Maybe it was something about the dogs.
Maybe.
And he's like, hey, you're going to need... This will be good to have on you.
Okay.
I don't know. But maybe the jerky will come back in the next episode. Or maybe it was just a weird scene. Maybe they cut it. Who knows?
Right. Nick's first night in back app is for a sparkler night. Nick is being his usual defiant self. He's the only one in the room that's talking other than Kalisha a little bit. But Miss Sigsbee is saying, this is for real. This is not training.
Yeah, so he's like, it's movie night. And she's like, no, it's a sparkler night. There's a difference. Movie night is training. This is real. And if Nick's never participated in a movie night, why would they even let him participate in this?
I don't know.
He should be not hooked up.
Right.
Because couldn't he screw this whole thing up?
He could.
By not, knowing what the hell's going on and not participating the way they want him to?
Right. So he's still trying to resist, but ultimately gives into instructions. Iris is going to be the conductor here, which means she's the one staying awake, and after today, she will be heading to recovery, where she will promptly die.
And going home, Sigsbee says.
Yes.
But everybody knows that's not the case. And she's like, well, at least I won't have headaches anymore.
Right.
So she's kind of like, okay, cool, I'm ready to go.
Right.
That's so sad.
She finds herself controlling a doctor who's helping out a mobster guy. I forgot to get any of these people's credits.
So the Russian doctor is played by Dmitry Kislev. This is his only acting credit, but he has several directing and editing credits for mostly stuff I couldn't even read. So yeah, this is the person that Iris is controlling with the help of all the other back half kids that are like hooked into her brain or whatever. And he is doctoring the Russian boss, who's played by Igor Shamuilov. He was in one episode of Trailer Park Boys, an episode of Salvation. Those are the only two people in this room that had credits on IMDb.
Gotcha.
There were other people talking.
Yes.
So I wonder if their credits are going to pop up in the actual credits.
Right.
But again, we don't have access to them yet.
Yeah.
So I'll try and circle back to that next week if I remember.
All right. So
but, yeah, there's a bunch of people. It's a Russian mob. We're in Russia. They're all speaking in Russian. And Iris is controlling the doctor, and it's like, this is them showing us now, here's what the frick we're doing. We are literally doing mind and body control of people anywhere in the world, which is super scary.
Yes. And basically, Dr. Hendricks is helping her out. Basically, she is supposed to be looking for a poison to inject the mobster with.
Yeah, so they're saying, oh, I'm going to give you a cortisone shot, but Iris's job is to make sure it's not cortisone, it's something that's going to kill him, something with fentanyl in it.
And, so she does that. The mobster guy starts convulsing, and presumably life doesn't go well for the doctor after this situation.
No, he's very dead.
Yes.
To the point where a light at the Institute turns from green to red, indicating the subject died.
I guess so.
Also during this, the whole sparkler of it, during this whole thing, Tony and one other guard guy, who I'm not sure which one it was. Again, there's several in this episode. Light sparklers. And the whole point is they're going around to all the kids to make sure all the kids are fully in the hum.
Gotcha.
So they're like putting the sparklers in front of their eyes to see if they react to it. Because if they react to it, that means they're not fully under. At least that's how I interpreted it.
Okay, I had no idea.
And because none of them reacted, we knew we were good to go or whatever. Because I guess if one of them's awake during it, it would be bad.
Yeah. They kind of indicate that to Nick, who's trying to stay awake and not cooperate.
Right, and I think that's why, the conductor, this is kind of like their last thing, is because it puts them into this seizure coma state because they're awake.
Right.
When it's happening.
All right. So, meanwhile, Tim has stolen Wendy's car, and we see him driving with some blue screen effects.
Yeah, we can't see where he's driving because that effect wasn't ready for us.
Right.
But he tells her he's going to the red steps.
And she is not happy. First, that she's driving in his car without permission.
Yeah, she's like, "Are you stealing my car now?"
Right. Basically, tells her about he tells her about Stackhouse and says he's going to the red steps and all that jazz. And
what is he going to find at the red steps? It's water.
I don't know.
I'm not sure what's going on with Tim right now.
Right. We don't really know what he's doing, but she says to be careful. In the back half, Iris ends up collapsing. Maureen goes to her side. Tony mocks her, having absolutely zero humanity or empathy.
Yeah, he's like teasing Maureen because she cares
that
a kid is dying.
Stackhouse takes the opportunity to try to suck up to Miss Sigsbee, and he's basically like, "Oh, this place would not run right without you." And it seems like he thinks he might get some nookie out of it because they say they're going to meet in the...
Yeah, he's all like, "I wish we could celebrate the way we always do, but I know you're still mad at me." And she's like, "Meet me in 10 minutes in the closet."
Hendricks is, he's an evil character, but he's low-key pretty pathetic.
Oh, yeah. He's just the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a mastermind by any means.
No. So, Wook and Avery... And I have a note here that says, Avery is pretty much always hanging in Wook's room now.
Yeah, it's his room.
Right. So, I actually, I was kind of wondering, should we be wondering if this might be a Dateline situation that we have to, kind of like George was
before we move on to Luke and Avery, this is where I have in my notes, and I just want to bring it up because we mentioned it at the top a little bit, but we had this whole sparkler night, right? There's 20 other kids in these chairs.
Yes.
That aren't in recovery yet.
Right.
Why is Iris the one that's done and have it being a conductor? When there's 20 other kids that came here before her.
Right. that was, of course, Latrice's point, and of course, I also noticed that the only thing I can think of that might make sense is if these kids are coming from somewhere else and not just from the institute that we're familiar with.
So there's like 10 different front halves?
I mean, maybe.
Kind of like defeats the definition of half.
Right, yes. So I don't think that actually makes any sense, but that's the only thing I can come up with to justify that. Otherwise, we should have seen some of these people come through.
Right. There's a lot of kids in back half.
Yes. They should not be there. I mean, I could see some of them maybe being stronger than Iris and maybe, outliving her or whatever,
right.
but not all of them. That's for darn sure.
And remember, from the kids we saw, it was Iris that went and then Kalisha, right?
Yes.
And Kalisha's fine.
Yes.
Nothing's even affecting her yet.
Right.
And when we first saw, when the kids first, talked to Kalisha, telepathically, she was like, oh, movie nights are hard on you, and Iris has just been to too many of them. Didn't Iris only go over a day before Kalisha did?
Basically, yeah. Yeah, there's some hanky stuff here, that's for sure. And once again, why the hell is George not here at this point? He should be. He should have been here before Dick. They were talking about sending him here from episode 2, well before anybody else.
Right.
But anyway, so Iris, so Luke and Avery. Avery is, always hanging out in the room now. They discuss Samson from the Bible. And the point of the story is that sometimes you win just by showing you're willing to fight.
It's a line Nikki gave earlier in the episode, and Avery's repeating it here. With Luke basically being on the complete opposite side of where he was, right? He had, in the beginning of the episode, was like, nah, we can't do it. And now he's the one telling Avery, we can do this.
Right.
Have hope. And even if it takes us down with it, we're taking this place down.
Right.
That's where they're at with their whole Samson story.
Iris is out on a gurney and wheeled into recovery, where she's hooked up to the same machines we saw earlier. Avery is giving an account of where everyone is. Basically, Miss Sigsbee and Hendrix are going to the supply closet. Tony's going somewhere else. And then Maureen is on her way back to wherever. And the time has come for Luke to get the tracker off of his ear. I didn't know if we were actually going to see this, but they show us this in gruesome detail.
They do.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's going to use the pair of scissors to get it off. And initially...
He asks Avery to do it, and I'm just like, why? Where's George?
Right. Yeah, you're asking a 10-year-old, maybe even younger than that, to do this shit. And yeah, where the heck is George?
He's not part of this.
Right. So Luke has to do it himself, which I can't imagine doing this to myself, but I guess, desperate times call for desperate measures, but damn, that was brutal to watch. It was brutal to watch.
So he ends up ripping it through his ear.
In fact, I think this might be the most brutal scene in the entire series up to this point.
It's I think the only time we've seen real blood.
Yeah.
Short of maybe when we put the tracker in, we saw a little bit of blood.
Right, yeah.
And Sigsbee's little tiny bits of blood.
Right.
But this is the first, kind of gory moment we've had.
Yes.
So he rips it through the ear. There's, I think, 3 sets of prongs. So he's just ripped his ear into, 4 different segments. And they're just kind of flopping.
Yeah. That's not how you pierce your ears, that's for sure.
And why don't they have ice? That was my question.
Right.
We know they got access to ice. We spent a lot of time with the ice machine, but we don't see him putting ice on his ear. That would have helped.
They just
a little bit.
They just put duct tape on it, and
Avery puts duct tape on his ear.
Yeah. Anyway, Hendrix thinks he's getting some nookie, but not so much. They are only there, so it looks like they're sticking to the routine. And she's very clearly still pissed off at Hendrix. She tells him that she is sending Luke to back out tomorrow, and Hendrix argues for more time. Luke, meanwhile, has exited his room, and this is pretty cool. Avery is guiding him step by step to avoid detection.
Yeah, telepathically.
And basically, at one point, they stop at the cafeteria because there's a guard there. There's another guard watching the cafeteria, noticing that
the cameras aren't working.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, it must be the heat.
Right.
They don't check the air conditioner. Go fix the freaking air conditioner. My God.
I mean, if any of these characters survive this series, they should all be fired en masse. But, so he gets into the elevator thanks to Marine's pass. Goes down the hall. Sigsbee has decided enough time has passed, basically saying, hey, you don't last this long. And she opens the door just as Luke is in the area, and Avery, from his position, is like, uh-oh. She avoids going out just long enough for Luke to get out of sight.
Because Hendrix calls her back to plead with her, and knowing he was very helpful.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hendrix.
He provided the perfect distraction to keep her out of the hallway just a few seconds longer.
Did you catch what she said to him? Because I didn't quite get it.
Did I write down anything that happened in that conversation? Let me see. Laundry room. No.
No? Okay. So Marine ends up passing Miss Sigsbee, and everything about this scene is super tense. It's very well done. She manages to get to Luke.
And I had a question here. Maureen's coming out of the elevator when she runs into Sigsbee.
Yes.
How did she use the elevator if she gave her elevator card to Luke?
That's a good question.
Did she have more than one? Because she shouldn't.
Maybe she has a spare somewhere. So she gets to Luke, who ends up giving her key card back. And, he climbs in.
A laundry cart.
Yep, she ends up burying him in towels. As she's wheeling him back, she encounters Tony, who basically she has to piss off in order to get there.
Yeah, so Tony tries stealing a towel from her.
Yes.
And she doesn't want to give him a towel because he might see Luke under the towels. Tony wants a towel because he wants to go take a shower because him and Zeke got Liberty and they've got some plans off campus they're going to go do. And I didn't clock who in this episode Zeke is, but he's a new character. He's played by Colin, and I can't say this last name, Hluchniak, a bunch of letters, H-L, something.
We should totally interview some of these people.
And be like, can you tell us how to say your name, please? And as soon as I saw this name in the IMDb credits, I knew it's a name I had tried pronouncing previously.
Yes.
Because I remember looking at these random letters and having no idea what that sound is supposed to be. Colin is actually he was in 3 episodes. He was in episodes 304, 305, and 308 as Colony House resident number 4. One of the Colony House residents that at that time I knew exactly who they were by, I recognized him, and I was like, oh, that's Colony House resident number 4. We got to that point in From.
Right.
But now I have no idea what he looks like, and I couldn't clock which of these employees in this building was Zeke.
Right.
But Tony mentioned Zeke here, so I figured that was a good time to talk about him. He was also in 1 episode of Chapel Way and 2 episodes of Haven.
All right, so basically, she refuses to give him a towel. He gets pissed off, and she leaves. They get into recovery, the room. Marine ends up giving him detailed instructions, which includes meeting up with a reporter, probably Kate.
Yeah, that's gonna be bad. Because so he says she tells him how to get out of the building because the next 2 doors are unlocked. It's gonna get him outside. Go through the fence. You're gonna end up at the river. Go to the red steps. Why of all places she's having him meet her at the frickin' red steps?
Right.
And she says that's where she'll meet him when she gets out of work. She gives him a thumb drive.
Right.
And he's like, "What's this?" And she says, "You're gonna tell your story." She says, "I know a reporter." And I went, oops.
Yeah.
That's bad.
The 2 of us had basically the same exact reaction. A reporter, probably the murderous Kate, and that's not going to go very well.
It's not going to go well. But
No.
yeah, also, why are we sending him to the red steps?
I don't know.
There's just one dangerous place in town. That's where we should meet.
I mean, maybe because it's the most recognizable landmark.
I mean, I think we just need to get him there when Tim's going to be there, is the point.
Yeah.
But it's awful silly that's where she would say, let's meet at this very dangerous spot at the river.
Right. We don't exactly know why Tim is going there, but he's going there.
He's going there because, the dead kids were found there, but if you don't think they were killed there, I mean, it's been years. What do you think evidence you're going to find?
Basically, he's going there because the plot requires him to meet up with Luke in the next episode.
I hope we're going to get to see what the frick the red steps actually is.
Right.
Because we were told they're not actually steps and they're not actually red. So...
Right.
How would Luke anyways even know what the red steps is?
Right.
Is there a big sign that says red steps?
I mean, maybe. Luke, before leaving, tries to get Iris out, but she's pretty much catatonic. So he can't really do anything to help
he leaves her. He removed her visor.
Yes.
Leaves it off. I feel that was a big mistake.
Yes.
Somebody's going to notice that.
Right. My comment was like, you're not going to put the oxygen mask at least? Do you not know? Maybe she needs that? Maybe that's going to kill her, not having that on? And also, yeah, it's going to get noticed by somebody.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he realizes that he can't help her. He ends up leaving. He goes through the furnace room.
Through the incinerator room. Then he's in a hallway.
Right.
And eventually he finds himself outside near the old fence.
And that is where the episode ends.
Very tense. A lot going on.
Yes.
Maureen is probably about to get killed.
Presumably, yeah.
Like, they have to realize she's the one that helped him.
Well, if she's contacting the reporter, who happens to be Kate, and tells her this situation...
How is Luke not going to get killed? Because they need him? So they bring him back?
I think so.
But then we've got to meet up with... Obviously, he's going to meet up with Tim, because they're both heading to the Red Steps.
Yes.
So... I don't know. Where is this? I'm curious. I'm curious where we're going. We got 3 more episodes to make this make sense.
Right. So the next episode is the one, presumably, where Tim and Luke are finally going to meet. I mean, we've had the intersection between the stories, but not to the point where the 2 main stars met, which we knew was going to happen.
Now, let's remember, his goal is not just to leave. His goal is to get all the kids out.
Yes.
And expose the place. So he's not just going to skip town, right?
Right.
He's going to be like, I have to go back. I have to get them out.
Mm.
So I guess that's where we're going to be is what does he do next?
Right.
I'm thinking maybe Maureen doesn't even make it to meet him.
Bring
him to the reporter.
I highly doubt that she's...
Because if they realize he's gone, if they realize something's wrong with Iris, they're going to know it was her.
She has communicated with Kate, presumably. That's a death sentence right there. That means... I
mean, if she has already talked to her.
I mean, fair enough. Maybe she hasn't, or maybe it's not even that reporter, but I think
it's got to be.
Yeah.
It's got to be. Let's see. Also in this episode was an orderly number 2 as a new character, played by Andre Mayette. Andre was in an episode of Haven and a film Big Driver. And then a bunch of returning characters that we've already talked about.
All right. Do we have anything else to say before concluding?
That's all I have. Again, very curious to see where this goes. I feel like things are really ramping up.
Yes.
Story was a little slow at the front, and now everything is kind of coming to a head, and I'm just excited to see what happens. And, I gotta think that the good guys are gonna win at the end of the day, but it's Stephen King, so not necessarily. It really could end in the entire world blowing up. It really could.
Well, that would be
But we know they're trying to go for more seasons.
Yes.
It was originally conceived as a limited series, but we do know now that they're in the talks of possibly planning a 2nd season. So I don't think it'll end in literally the world blowing up or all of our characters dying.
Yeah, my hope is that we end on some note of closure so that if, for whatever reason, MGM decides not to go forward with the 2nd season...
From what I understand, it ends with the book. Like, these 8 episodes encompass the story of the book, at least the version of that they wanted to tell. And the network, Jack Bender, or the other creators, are in talks with Stephen King to create a new story for season 2. That's what I read. So, that was not an official press release from MGM, so that could have been total BS. But I did read that in some kind of article, that's what's happening.
All right. So if there is a 2nd season, it's going to be going beyond the source material.
Right. It'll be a new story.
Makes me a little nervous.
But they're talking to Stephen King about it. So he would be involved in the creation of that plot.
Well,
because he is an executive producer on this series, he's not just in this in name.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean anything because he was also an executive producer on Under the Dome, and look how that turned out.
Right.
But I'm going to say that I have more faith in Jack Bender and this current creative team because a lot of them, these same people are also involved in Prom, so I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. That they will do something good with it, especially if they keep to their word and actually do involve Stephen King in the creative process.
From what I understand, that's what's happening is they're talking with King specifically about extending this story.
Right.
This universe. Beyond what is in the book, The Institute.
Right. So, yeah, we'll see how that goes.
Which Which also makes me think it could be a really long delay before we get more if they literally have to start at, nothing.
From scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else to say before concluding?
Come back next week so we can keep talking about it.
Absolutely. All right. We'd like to hear from you. What'd you think of this podcast? What'd you think of this episode? You guys have any theories that we didn't think of, and so on and so forth? Stacie, can be reached at?
I can reach on Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at TV and Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support the channel, the number of ways to do so, you can follow me on Twitter at Korman Productions. You can join one of the Korman Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Korman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a copy. You can join the Korman Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to the channel. This is Dave and Stacie from Korman Productions, signing off.